Let's get right into our first topic, though, guys. Gunther.
Oh my god.
Gunther. What are you
what are
laughing
the
at?
what do the kids call this nowadays? Glazing?
Something like that. Yeah, I think that's the name for it. They've got a I don't know. Gunther basically said that Triple H saved wrestling. It was I think he added to that. If someone has the exact quote, I'm not 100% sure, but like it was pretty intense. And oh, I love this from Sean Ellis. Happy aloha, everybody. Happy Friday. Absolutely. That's way better than this one. I don't know. It's such an aggressive thing to say. It's only been a few years. I don't know. It's been an established industry, entertainment wise, for so long. I don't know if I can personally be like, you know what? Definitely Triple H saved it. Has he had a positive impact? For sure. But that is just such a like hyperbole type statement
Yeah.
just to
I
lob
got
it
I
all
got
on.
the full quote there for you as well.
Yes. You
So
want to read that or do you want me to
yeah,
read it?
yeah, and I could read it. He said Gunther on Triple H. He saved professional wrestling to a big degree, with him opening the world to WWE and creating so many jobs and opportunities back then for so many of the guys like us all, the European guys, which is, woo, that's man.
It also makes a little bit more sense because I feel like he's giving Triple H credit for stuff that happened before he fully took over creative. I didn't really understand the concepts of that truthfully, but I also think it's still just an extreme thing to say. I don't know, Shad. You talk to me about this one.
All right, so this was a very company answer, right? He's a company guy at the end of the day. Gunther is going to promote the WWE for what it is. And more so, he's going to promote this new era of WWE. Now, how you generalize pro wrestling to the WWE is where it gets dicey because if he wants to say Triple H saved WWE, everything in regards to how the company operates, the atmosphere, and all the stench that was from Vince McMahon prior to it. Well, yeah, I would agree with him on that. I think Triple H has made WWE a lot more palatable. It's made it a hot commodity. They've had more wrestling centric aspects to it than we had before. Better storylines have kind of progressed at the end of the day. But if you're talking about the entirety of professional wrestling, then that's when I kind of have a little bit of an issue because that's taking away from a lot that is the backbone of pro wrestling that is not WWE. You talk about what's going across the pond out in the Europe, out in the UK. You can even argue that WWE, as he said, gave a lot of European guys jobs. They also lost a lot of jobs for a lot of European wrestlers. All right, like that. We can always note that, but there's a lot of great promotions out there in Japan. New Japan, in a sense, is such a staple to what pro wrestling is, pure professional wrestling. Then you got promotions like TNA that have been long lasting from its entirety. You got an AEW, which is another big time wrestling promotion that has given a lot of wrestlers jobs, opportunities, and allowed a lot of people to become major stars in the process. So, with that being said, a lot of what I just mentioned was prior to Triple H coming into the fold. Now, I do think if you want to add it to the NXT aspect of Black and Gold, yeah, like Triple H has definitely done so much great for the WWE, and I think he has saved the WWE. But to say the entirety of pro wrestling is going to be pro wrestling at the end of the day, whether it's on a big time platform where it's you see the manias and all that, okay, whatever, but that doesn't mean all of professional wrestling. There's a lot of people out there that don't even really fully watch WWE on a weekly basis. So
I 100% agree with you, Shad, because if the statement had been he saved WWE, no problem. I'm all in, right? We definitely don't have 10 minutes or 15 minutes to talk about this one if that's the case, right?
Yeah,
Like there just isn't, right? It
sure.
changes the entire thing. The fact that he invoked the entire industry, and you brought up perfect examples as far as like the global impact and whatnot. Another thing that I also find interesting is, and I love this comment from friend of the show here, I make beats. NXT crippled the indies, dog. Not only that,
He's not
they
wrong.
cut NXT UK
Hmm.
under Triple H's watchful eye. They cut the whole
And,
program.
and that's what I'm saying. So to say in the same breath that he gave a lot of jobs to European guys and girls or whatnot, he took away a lot of jobs from probably more European guys and girls. When you think about it, right? Like I'm not about to do the numbers game and count which wrestlers are European on the roster. I know there's plenty of them. Gunther, Pete Dunne, all of them. But there's a lot of people that we've got a chance to interview on Sunday
Yes.
Spotlight that have got cut ties because NXT Europe, NXT UK was completely done. Oh yeah, what about NXT Europe? I thought that was supposed to be a thing. What happened?
Yeah. RIP NXT UK and NXT Europe never happened. DCX Warlord. We've got some other great
Yeah.
comments here. Sean Ellis agrees with you, Shad, as well.
Oh, I love
So
that.
does I
Thank
Make
you, Sean
Beats.
Ellis.
And then I Make Beats added, this made me laugh so hard. I don't like Triple Paul, but yeah, he's the better of two evils.
Goddamn, Triple Paul.
Triple
Yeah.
Paul? I
Paul,
might never
Paul.
call him anything else. Paul.
Triple Paul. I like that.
Triple Paul. Because Triple P is too extreme. You can't
Yeah,
go with
yeah.
Triple P, but it's
Triple
Triple
Paul.
Paul
It's like a little kid's
forever
joke.
now. Paul. That's amazing. I'm sorry. I'm 10 years old. Jordy, though, do you think Triple H saved wrestling in the words of the current world champion Gunther?
The fact that you lead in with, in the words of the current world champion, do you think that he's right about saying his boss saved wrestling? No, he's not. I've been
Hard-hitting
trying.
questions.
I've been really trying to find a way to be like, how can I devil's advocate this to try and give a different point of view. And I'm literally scratching my head as you're looking at me because it's just difficult. Like there is an argument to make if you're going to put like a group of people, but it's such a broad statement. Like you say, if you narrow it down to WWE, yeah, I would even say there's an argument to say that the likes of Cody Rhodes maybe did more to save wrestling than what Triple H has done. He's steered the ship of WWE, which was a ship that was perhaps heading for an iceberg at one point, and he's steered it out of the way 100%. And we're in paradise right now. The Netflix deal is going well. We're still early into the Netflix deal. What if the Netflix deal doesn't end up being such a good thing? And then Triple H has got that to his name. Do you know what I mean? So it's just so early to say that. There was one thing that keeps coming out, and I'll always stand by this, and we see it because it, in the sense of like, there's no Raw or SmackDown on Christmas week because they go and spend it with the families, and if something big happens, then they get to go and get that time off, and that change looks like it has happened. So, from a wrestler's perspective, he may have saved it in the sense it's like for WWE, it doesn't look like as much of an unattractive style of a lifestyle anymore, perhaps maybe, and so more people want to do it, and then in the long run that has a knock-on effect and has a good kind of substantial effect, and maybe doing a good bit of work for wrestling. But I'm just so conscious to say saving wrestling because like, yeah, it's just, that's not true. That isn't true.
It isn't entirely true. It's just too broad of a statement, and I think you said that pretty perfectly there, Jordy. I know it's like it's kind of difficult because you're like, there's some truth, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
because none of us are sitting here trying to say Triple H has done something negative or done something bad for wrestling, but there's a point to him as like a singular savior of the entire industry. I think is a bit of a reach.
this is why I'll always take a Chris Van Vliet over an Ariel Helwani interview,
I would
because
agree.
Gunther would never come out of a Chris Van Vliet interview and having said this, because he wouldn't have been baited into
True, and
perhaps
we even
saying
got
that. And that just kind of sucks a little bit, because Gunther's not going to come out of this looking good. And in the same interview, we have to bear in mind, he said out of the, I can't remember the exact amount, but say it was out of the 1,000 days he's been at WWE, 800 of them he's been a champion. So like,
yes. And we've had
He saved Gunther's life,
he did
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And here's the other thing
Let me
too.
read the comment.
Gunther. Go ahead, my bad.
No, I was just gonna say, I'm like, I've
You
been
want me to
waiting.
read it?
Roundhead,
Oh.
first time commenter. Thank you so much, and I've been meaning to read it for a while, so I feel bad. I was like holding off, and I'm like, no, I got to get to it before I miss it. No, it's all good. Hard to look at it any other way except for the fact that Ariel was twisting what he said. He loved the headline, throwing guests under the bus. So exactly the sentiments that you had there, Jordy, as well. Like in agreement on that. I mean, it just happens. It's interesting. This is really funny. Next, Gunther's. Stephanie saved wrestling.
Then we have something to argue about. Then we get our back up about that because there's only one wrestling podcast.
But I mean,
I think. Go on, Shad.
I do also have to, call a spade a spade. As great as Triple H is doing, it definitely feels like the WW media circuit and professional wrestlers, when they get on these media platforms, have to always praise him. I feel a lot of it is optics. I think they really want to erase everything that has Vince McMahon fingerprinted on that company and get rid of it for good reasons. I'm not saying it's for bad reasons, but the constant reminder that we have to get of Triple H is doing all of this, he has made it so much better, is not a great thing for the long term of WWE. Case in point, the build to WrestleMania. This is not the best build to WrestleMania on Triple H's dime compared to last year, even. Us as fans have every right to criticize it, to critique it, to want better, to want more from this God, Savior, Booker of professional wrestling, Triple H. But the moment we put him so high on the pedestal, hey man, we can't say nothing to him. He saved pro wrestling apparently. I mean, shoot, who am I to critique him?
You reminded me of something funny. My buddy, that he's a more casual fan than us, but he's watched for his whole life, right? And we went to the Rumble together. My buddy Nick, he had a great quote talking about Triple H. He was like, it seems like a lot of people really appreciate his booking style and stuff since he's taken over, creative and everything, and he's the figurehead, and like people seem to really like him. And he kind of thought about it for a second, and he goes, "It's not like you had to follow Derek Jeter, though."
Yeah.
Right? Like expectations wise, it wasn't that hard to beat the last guy as far as public facing and reputation is concerned.
Vince was so, besides all the, nasty man stuff that's tied to him, but Vince's booking became so putrid towards the last part of whatever he controlled the WWE. I say the last 5 to 8 years, right? It became so bad that honestly, me and Jordy could get the books and we would be lights out better bookers than what Vince was doing. Like, it wasn't a big.
It's so true. It was not a big. It's not tough act to follow at that stage of his career, right?
Yeah.
Like you could have got anybody in there and they're going to do better. Now I will say one thing.
Change, wasn't it? That's what anybody wanted. We just wanted change.
Well, also hold up. This comment from I Make Beats: good wrestling save good wrestling. The booking's been all over the place. When do we give credit to the roster as well? Because
that's true. The talent saved wrestling.
Yeah, his job is not. His job is hard, right? But his job is a lot easier because this is arguably one of the best constructed rosters, men to women, that the WWE has in a while, dog. Like I haven't seen this many superstars on both sides of the coin in a minute.
I agree, and I was going to add one more thing, and it's kind of wild. I don't want to have my words twisted because I'm not trying to say that it specifically saved wrestling, but I also think that during the pandemic, wrestling being the only show going, we still had wrestling. Sports were shut down. Everybody was at home. We still had pro wrestling. We saw WrestleMania 36 presented in such a unique way and all of that. What AEW was doing at Daly's Place, when ROH running shows, multiple companies running shows during that time. Even I would say, lapsed fans from, sort of the era where things got a little bit not as fun, a little bit repetitive, a little bit not what we wanted, came back because, that's what was there to watch during that time, and the performers delivered. And that's to me one of the biggest things. This surge that we've seen is essentially, you combine that with the launch of AEW, all of this, it's a money cannon through the industry.
I honestly think you've got to look at Cody Rhodes as much as Triple H.
No, Cody is a great mention.
Which is like when you look at the common denominator at AEW when it started
before Triple H took over also.
Yeah, like if you look at, he is a common denominator. WWE is doing better than it ever. AEW probably when he was there, his peak was doing better than it ever was. So like the common denominator right there is Cody Rhodes. Like Triple H has done good for one team, but Cody's played an absolute blinder for both. I
actually disagree.
Okay,
you know who saved WWE?
It's not like us.
You know who saved WWE? Roman Reigns.
Oh yeah,
that's a good point.
That's when WWE became very palatable again. Is once the creation of the tribal chief happened. And I mean,
that Triple H.
Or is that almost say Paul Heyman.
There wasn't. That was a Paul Heyman and Vince.
It was Paul Heyman's idea,
but more of a Paul Heyman creation.
Paul. It's always Paul. Paul.
Yeah.
Paul.
I do think it's funny though. I like to give credit just because he's been around for so long, and I enjoy him from an entertainment standpoint. I like to give credit for the good things that Paul does, and then there are a number of things he's messed up, and I'm just always like, yeah, but it's like,
But let's talk about the good.
Yeah,
sometimes the good outweighs the bad. Sometimes it's the other way.
He didn't pay talent in the 90s and gave him bounced checks. Things like that.
We've watched the documentary.
I know what he did. I've seen the documentary.
That was a while.
It was a long time ago.
What murder?